Welcome to the studio, it's Royal here. I'm so glad you joined me. Today we're experimenting with magazine image transfers. I'm going to give you my number one rule.
Right, so I've got some magazines, some of my favorite paint colors, my beautiful gel plate, and some of my favorite paper. I'm going to be using this Japanese sketch paper today, as well as some wet strength tissue. Now the thing is with magazine image transfers is not every magazine is going to work. I'm using Australian Vogue, that's the Australian Marie Claire, the Italian Vogue, that one's got to work, and House and Garden. So these are the four I have today. They need to be high glossy magazines for a start. If you want to set yourself up for successful image transfers, then you have to use good magazines. But then also within the magazine, not every page is going to work. That's the thing. Some of them you think are going to be amazing, don't turn out very good at all, which is a little heartbreaking, but some of the transfers from the page will surprise you. Now, this would be a good image transfer because there are strong light and dark areas, dark hair, dark eyes and eyebrows, and that's going to probably work well. But compared to this one, see how the overall tone of the image is too similar. There isn't really any dramatic light and dark contrasting, so that will probably have less chance of transferring successfully. But again, you don't really know until you try, and you do have to try. That's the thing. That strong black and white contrast would transfer well. So depending on what you want to create, I think today we just need to experiment with a few ideas. I'd like to put a few different images on the plate and create something like a little collage actually on the gel plate with the images just for fun. Let's add some additional layers, let's add some textures, and let's just see what we can create with some of these magazines. Now, that might create a really interesting background, especially with all the dots and the font there, the words. So I'm going to tear that one out because I'd like to give that a try and see what it does and how well it'll transfer. And definitely then put some other layers on top. Now you can layer up the gel plate with quite a few transfers and pull it in one print, or you could just put a layer on the gel plate, pull the print, and then come back with that print and add some more layers to it. There really are so many ways to create with the magical gel plate, and that's why we love it so much. That would work. That face could be quite cool. So let's rip her out. I think the texture of her jumper would probably transfer pretty nicely. Let's give that a try. So I think we should definitely do both. Let's layer up the plate. That's a beautiful image there, but again, the whole tone of the page is going to be too similar. So you're not going to get that dark and light contrast. I'll keep saying it just so you remember. Because eventually the penny will drop, it'll sink in, and you'll have an amazing time exploring this incredible possibilities with very simple art supplies and a few techniques. You just need to try, you need to practice, you need to think about light and dark contrasting images, and then you'll be away. She might work. That pose is pretty nice. That could work on the plate. That face might be a little grainy. She might not pick up well, but nah. Let's give her a try. We could put some other textures around her and see how she looks. That one might work better because it's clearer. If you like the squinty eyes, I don't know so much. I'm looking for something that's going to be a little more interesting. That's an interesting look, but I think it's a little too blurry for what we want to achieve. So we'll just keep going. And of course, I've got 3 other magazines to go through. Oh, that could be fun for some background texture. Let's see what those dots and patterns will pick up. It may or may not work. We just have to try it. That's quite an interesting pose. That one maybe. Let's try that. Oh, on the back's pretty good. Don't forget to turn the page over and see what's on the back. I do like these big bold texts. They can look really dramatic and quite significant in the gel print. So have a look for that as well. Also, lots of this text can be really interesting. So we might rip out some of that. You don't have to use whole pages, of course. You can just use bits and pieces of what you think might work. And then if it doesn't work, meh, you wipe it over, you put on another one and you try again. Some of these would be really interesting. Strong black, that's going to work. Absolutely, that would work. And the poses are really nice. Oh, you want a big eyeball, that would definitely work. These facial features would work because they've got a strong contrast. Righto, I think we'll start with that. Let's have a little experiment. Let's have a little play on the plate and see what we can come up with. Shall we have a quick flick through this one? Okay, let's just have a quick flick. Ooh, Gucci, baby. Right now, I do like to use the Liquitex full-bodied muted range of paints when I'm image transferring. There's no reason except that I like the colors, I like the paint, and it seems to always work. Now I'm going to try this one. She may or may not work. She might be a little grainy, but we'll give it a try. Now my first top tip is not too much paint. But you do need some paint on the plate so that you can get the transferring process happening. Is that too little? Maybe, baby. I might not have enough in some of that section. I usually tend to put too much paint on my plate. I am rather a heavy-handed artist. So these days I'm trying really hard not to put so much paint on the plate. Especially when it comes to image transfers. They don't seem to like too much paint on the plate. Something scratchy on there. It'll be fine. So you want not too much paint, but you want enough paint so it helps you with the process. Now, we call it an image transfer, but really it's a resist technique, and the paint is resisting the toner that's in the magazine page print. And where there's a lot of buildup of toner, the paint will stick to the plate. Where there's not much toner, then it will absorb into the page. So that's how the actual transfer works. Yeah, she's a little smudgy, but she's not too bad for our first one. Now, you don't have to keep what you get, right? So if you don't like something, you can just fix it. A little dab here, take off some of these spots and marks, might help with her face. Not looking so spotty. That'd be better. I'm not too worried because I want to create something more abstract rather than a perfect portrait. Anyway, so it was a bit of a test, that one, to see how we'd go. We knew it was going to be a little bit of a risk as the photo itself wasn't totally clear. So think about that when you're pulling out your images. If your photo's going to be blurry, then your print won't be so clear. But if it doesn't matter, then don't worry about it. Doesn't matter to me because I want to experiment with some ideas. I'm definitely not wanting a perfect portrait print. I want to experiment with layering up some textures and trying some different elements on the plate. So let's wipe all that off like that, because then we can add some more different textures to this section. And we don't want that heavy big block there. I'm going to put in some Kozo paper just here to pull off some of that paint. Kozo paper prints beautifully on the gel plate, just to create a little bit more texture. Oh, my paint's drying pretty fast. I need to get moving. So let's try one of these other textures. We could try the spotty texture. Shall we try that? Okay, let's try that. Let's give it a nice, rough, rugged, torn edge. We could put that on there. Maybe some text. Let's put some text on as well. And we're building up a bit of a collage actually on the plate surface. That could be a bit of fun. We could put some other texture, maybe some more of the text up in the corners. Yeah, that might work. Let's give that a try. Let's put some of the muted grey on here and see if this particular piece will pick up any textures. Ooh, baby. That's a nice colour, but it might have been a little too much paint. Oh man, we might need to take some of that off. Righto, let's see what this will do. Put that on there. Rip it down like that. Let's put some text here. Or maybe we should fill up the gaps. Okay, let's fill up the gaps. See what that's going to do. You can really use any of the pages in the magazine, even the ones that have these kinds of pictures on them, because you don't know what's going to pick up. You're going to get the dark areas are going to work and the light areas will absorb the paint, but you could get some really interesting abstract patterns. That's what I think anyway. I think it's all worth trying. Let's see if it left any cool texture of the text for us. Oh yeah, baby. See, look how cool that looks. My paint might have been a little thick, but we're still getting something on the plate, so we're winning. Winning. I'm loving that text on there. Oops. That didn't work so good. Oh man. Maybe there wasn't enough texture or pattern in the page, or there was just too much paint, because that's a possibility. Let's add some of this. This is my favorite draw liner that I love to use for texture. Gelli printing. So look at that. Fixed it. We fixed it. It's always good to pull off the excess if something doesn't quite go how you want. Of course, at any time, you can just keep adding layers. I think that's the fun part of Gelli printing. Possibilities are endless. You just have to have courage to explore. Loving that. That's a bit of muted pink that I just decided to put on there, because I'm thinking I want to add some more numbers up here. Oh, it's upside down. Does that matter? Doesn't matter to me. Let's put some of the number stamp up here. Yes, because what we're doing now is pushing the stamp into the wet paint and basically removing it off the plate, so the next paint layer fills in those spaces. And we like that. That's working. Liking that idea. Let's add some of my favorite iridescent bronze fine, but I still want to add something else to it, because I just think it's a little too typical, a little bit ordinary. We can't have that. We're experimenting today. We're creating weird things on the plate, so maybe we'll put some more numbers. Let's put some over her face. Okay, because we want things to be a little bit more abstract. let's see what that'll do. I think I'll pull it with some, maybe Titan Buff. Okay, hopefully this is dry enough and we can see what we got from our first little experiment. Oops, is it dry enough? One bit stuck to the plate already, but she's coming off. It'll be all right. Ta-da, ta-da. There we go, one little bit stuck there on the plate, wasn't quite dry, but you can see the differences in putting the pieces of paper on there and the textures and the magazine page with the portrait. Now, this isn't a great print, but it was fun to experiment, and I did think that it would be a little blurry with that particular image. Number one rule to remember, not too much paint. And that is a really good rule to remember. Okay, let's have a go at this one. Now, all of this black area here in the image will leave paint on the plate, and then I would just have to wipe it off. So there's no point in that. Let's just start by ripping the page and making a really interesting shape and texture with the torn edge, because I love a good torn edge. I think that's so much more interesting, and we know that we're going to want to add more texture around her. So let's just tear off this, because the torn edge is going to actually leave a mark or a texture on the plate, and that's going to look far more interesting. So I think I'll just try not to rip her head off and keep going around her. Oops, got awfully close then. Of these. And we'll just take all this paper off, leaving a fabulous torn edge texture, which is so much more interesting. Right, that's going to be good. We're going to put her on, see how she goes. And then I'm really busting to try this to see how it prints. So let's put that on as well. What are we going to go with? Do we want to go with some of the dark muted grey? Should we go with the violet or the pink? Such decisions. Let's go with the muted pink. Put that on the plate. Not too much paint. Oh man, tell ya, I gotta keep telling myself. I think that's a good amount. It's got a nice even coverage without being too thick, we hope. So let's put her on there and try not to chop her head off like that. And then I'm just going to put this on here and see how much of that will print. Oh, what about some text? Okay, I really like how the text turned out last time on the edges. That was a bit fun. Let's put some of that there, like that. Do we want some down the side? Oh man, where's the rest of it? We could put a little slither down the side here. That's what's so good about using magazines, because there's tons of pages to try. Don't be discouraged if they don't work out the first time. You've just got to experiment. Try different ideas, try different magazines. So far we've used the Vogue, Australian Vogue, and the Australian Marie Claire. And that's because that's just what I had in my cupboard. So you might want to try other magazines and see how they work. You won't actually know until you try them, and you do have to try. Maybe they'll work, maybe they won't, but it's all just a bit of fun. Love the text. I'm loving the text. That's looking really good today. Look at that, just little bits of text on there. That's a bit of fun. Sometimes it works better than others. Why is that? I don't know, man. I don't know. That text didn't work good, but that side did. I don't know. why that is. Now, did this page leave anything? Oh, that's fun. Look at that. That looks fantastic. I want another page of those. Although I could probably use this section with the dots. Yes, we're going to try that again. And let's see if our little face worked out. Geez, not too bad, not too bad. What bits don't we like? Well, I don't know about this. That's a little smudgy there. And that bit there. But the rest is a bit of fun. I like the lines of the torn edge. I like that bit of the font. Do I want to add anything else? I might just want to take off some of this block of paint there. Easy peasy. Oh, yes. And it kind of contributes to the other one that's got the dots on it. I'm liking that. I don't know about her hand. I think her hand's in the way with the watch. Righto, it's going. That's it. It's going. Goodbye, hand. I didn't like it. That means I could put something else in that corner. Yeah, I like that idea better. Righto. I think I'll put something else there. Something big, bold. Maybe some text. Maybe who gets to be a hero. I like that idea. Will it fit? Yes. So is going to fit. What color do I want to put it in? That's the question. Let's give it a good tear down first. Then I think, yes, I'm liking that idea. Righto, let's put it in a little bit of the muted violet. Like that. Put that on there. Let's see if that transfers. If it does, yippee. If it doesn't, oh well. That'll be alright. That'll be alright. Maybe I'll wipe some off her face that I just smudged all over it. Right, did that leave anything on there? Yes, not too bad, not too bad. Who gets to be a hero? I like that. That's fun. Should we add some more dots? Maybe we should. Yay. I like the build up of layers, and we're making like collage on the plate. That's a bit of fun. I think we need to put some extra colors on it. Yeah. So you know the number one rule now. I've definitely said it enough for you to remember. The number 2 rule is to experiment. You don't know what you're going to get until you try. You can't be afraid of getting it wrong or mucking it up. You have to allow yourself to experiment, because that's how you learn, that's how you grow, that's how you develop your arts practice, and that's how you work out what's going to work and what's not going to work. Now that's a pretty fun print, don't you think? Who gets to be a hero? That worked really well. You can see the face of the portrait there and some of the textures. Oh, that might be a little blocky. Perhaps that wasn't the best idea, but number 2, you have to experiment. You have to try your ideas, See what you like, what you don't like, what works and what doesn't work. That's the only way you're going to get better with any technique. Right, we're starting the next one with a me moment. I'm liking this plan. We'll see if we can get it a little bit better looking this time, but it really does depend on the image that you choose from the magazine. So this one looks like she's got a pretty nice expression on her face, and it's a lot clearer. See how there's a strong light and dark aspect to the print, to the photo. That should work a lot better, as long as we don't have too much paint. Let's have a look and see what my me moment's going to do. Wow, that's a little moody. That's a little moody. I really thought she would actually work a lot better than that. That's quite surprising. I did have great expectations for how she was going to come out, but she hasn't come out very clear at all. So we might just dab away some of this paint. We don't want the hard edge there. Whatever you put down on your plate first is what you're going to see on top of your print. So we don't want all this heavy paint on here, because we want to add something else to the print, to the page. So we need to wipe that away. See, you just don't know really. I thought that print would work a lot better than it did. You've just got to keep trying. You've just got to see what works. And don't give up if it doesn't work. Don't get all discouraged about it. Just try something else. Now, I'm liking the me moment. I need a me moment. I'm just not liking all of this. She kind of looks like she could be underwater. Maybe we'll do some blues and some turquoise. That could be fun. Or maybe we'll just put another print right over the top of her. I'm going to leave that edge. I kind of like that. I think she's running into the abyss here. Righto, let's see what we can dream up for texture around her. Now, I think she's pretty much enough dry. Let's go with a bit of a blue watery effect. That's what I'm thinking. She could be under the water. She could be sleeping. I think maybe it was too much paint. I told you, you can't have too much paint on the plate. But I want to put a couple of layers of colour, so I'm just putting a bit of the blue on there. Maybe we'll give it a spray to break it up a little, create a bit of a watery effect, just for a bit of fun. The only problem with doing this technique on the gel plate, it looks absolutely amazing, but you do have to wait for it to dry. That's a bit of a problem. But you can give it a bit of a dab with a wet wipe or a tissue. See how cool the watery effect looks? Yes, I'm loving it. Righto, we'll wait for it to dry. But perhaps the print didn't work so good because there was a touch too much paint on the plate. Number one rule, not too much paint. I'm going to let that dry. That looks pretty cool. I'm liking the feel of that. And then we'll put maybe another layer on it before we pull it, just for fun. And the third number one rule for image transfers on the gel plate, especially when you're using a magazine, is don't give up. Just don't give up. Keep trying, keep experimenting, keep exploring. Look how interesting this one looks. I used my favorite iridescent bronze fine on the print to pull it, and it's got that beautiful metallic color behind it. It's a me moment. It's a me. It's just for me. You can see the face there. It's not totally clear, but it's a lot of fun. It's very experimental. This particular technique is really a great way to learn how to do the image transfer, to allow yourself to have fun, to allow yourself to fail and try again. That's really important for the creative process. It might not feel good, but it is really good for your creative development. So number 3, don't give up. Keep trying, keep experimenting, keep coming up with new ideas and seeing what you can create. Now, the nature of using the magazine pages is not every print's going to work as well as you like, and that's just the process. It happens to all of us. It's just the way it goes. It really does depend on the photo. Once you get your paint right, which seems to be one of my biggest problems, the image that you choose really is the next most important thing. Sometimes images you think are going to be great just aren't for whatever reason, and sometimes they can surprise you and work out better than you expected. So that's why I say you really need to experiment, keep trying, and don't give up. Right, we'll give this one a go. Bit of Ariana Grande, see how she comes out, but I'm not too sure because it is a little light in some of the areas. You've got to have dark and light contrasting areas to get the best image. Don't let that stop you. Don't get discouraged or feel like a failure, because truly the hit and miss process happens to all of us. She's not too bad considering. It was a bit light around this area. I might just take off the smudgy marks there off her face perhaps. And we'll probably, do we want to add any more texture? Well, it's a pretty bit lacking down there, but I don't know, man. We might just take all of this dark blobby stuff off the side. That's a little boring. Now, I'm not getting fancy with this one. I'm just going to put on some pastel Arctic blue and pull the print straight off the plate. Easy peasy, simple as. Oh, she's not too bad. A little bit of Ariana Grande. Now, I would probably use this in a collage. I wouldn't just have that print just by itself. I would possibly use, I don't know, man, I'm liking her eyes. Her eyes look good, right? You could put collage material across there, add some more elements to it, add some stencils and some stamps. So the magazine image transfer can be a great place to start, a jumping off point, a great place to get you motivated, get you moving, get you creating. So don't panic if all your prints don't turn out perfect, because nothing's ever wasted. We use it for collage. We can create more mixed media elements, more textures, more layers on top. Right, so we know that the Vogue and the Marie Claire magazines work perfectly fine. So what about the House and Garden? Let's have a look through here and see if we can find some images that would be good just for creating texture. Now, you have to think about exactly the same aspects to the print copy. It has to have light and dark areas, good contrast, but sometimes you can get some really unique textures that you can then print on or stencil over or jelly print over or add collage. There's so many ways to build up some mixed media and textures onto your prints. It doesn't have to be one and done. So don't panic if something's not working, because you can expand that print. Let's try this one. And you can build it up to make an interesting mixed media piece. Don't get stressed out that it doesn't work the first time. It can be just a step in the creative process that leads you on a journey of discovery. That's what I love about mixed media techniques, is you're not limited to any one thing. You can do whatever you think is going to work to create the fabulous original art piece that you want to be creating. Right, so let's see if our house and garden does anything for us. Look at that, that's beautiful. That worked beautifully. I think we should just leave it alone, man. Let's not poke the bear. Oh, let's pull it with some gold. Okay, I might just take the smudgy edge off there, perhaps. I'm thinking we're gonna pull it with some gold, make it really opulent and dramatic. And House and Garden's working perfectly fine. So we've got 4 magazines today that have been all successful as far as working as image transfers. Number 1, make sure you pick the right magazine. And number 2, pick the right image in the magazine. That's really vital. Oh yeah, baby. Nothing like a little opulence for the day. Look at that. That's beautiful. Bit of muted violet and rich gold. Some textures, an open door. Absolutely beautiful. Again, I would use this for collage elements, and that makes perfectly great papers for another project. House and Gardens worked well. You can always use these type of magazines for just textures and backgrounds. Don't forget, high contrast. You want good variety. No point using the ones that have all the blended same colors. We know beige is very popular, but it doesn't do well for a magazine image transfers. So try and find the images that have more contrast, especially dark and light areas. That one worked well because of the beautiful pattern there in the curtain, and the open doors are effective. Now, I did like the idea of the text that I ripped out, so I might just finish up with a page of text, because I really like adding text into the collages, especially with these image transfers. I like the big A, but I think it is taking up too much space. So I'm going to tear the top bit off, and I'm going to use that, and then I'm going to use another section underneath like that. That's a plan, and I want the torn edge. I like the torn edges. I think they're far more interesting. So we'll go with that one, and then that will fill the gel plate. Now, I have found text to be sometimes a little hit and miss. That one's worked really well. Sometimes they don't. Maybe it's the whole too much paint, perhaps, or sometimes the text itself is not thick enough with the ink for it to transfer, but that page is transferred pretty well. I might even leave the dark edge around it because that's nice and dramatic. That's going to print up beautiful. What color shall we use? This time I'm going to use pale gold, and I think I'll pull it on some wet strength tissue just to change it up, have some different papers. Oh yeah, that looks beautiful. Look at that. It would make fabulous background texture for a collage, nice and shiny, a little bit of metallic, and I do like the muted grey dramatic impact of the text. Now you can't read it, and that's the point. You don't want to read it. You just want text to be background texture for your collages. This particular piece would work really well with the other image transfers that I printed today. It would work with any of them actually, because it's a simple color palette. It's on the wet strength tissue. It collages really well. Yay team, doing good.
So there's a few other things to consider when experimenting with the magazine image transfers. Number one is copyright issues. You don't own the copyright issues, the magazine does. So you don't want to be printing from a magazine, putting them in your original artworks and claiming them as your own. That's going to cause you some grief. But what I like to do is take the prints like I made today and tear them up, put them into collage, make a whole new artwork out of them. I also use them a lot in my art journal. So if it's my own personal art journal, can't get me into any trouble then, can it? And today's prints would work really well for collage elements. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you were encouraged and inspired to try this incredibly fun and fascinating technique on the gel plate. The other thing I like to do is use color laser copy prints of my own photos. In fact, I prefer that even more because then you have no copyright issues. And I do find they turn out better. So think about that. That's another option for you. If you want any more information on the paints or the products that I was using today, have a look in the description under the video. You can always find out more on my website, froyalart.com, and I'll see you next time in the studio.